التلفزة الوطنية 2. أهلا وسهلا، مرحبا بكم في موعد جديد من دروس البكالوريا، دروس بكالوريا 2011. اليوم باش تتابعوا معنا إن شاء الله درس في مادة الإنجليزية، وكما تعودتوا على مدة 15 يوم تقريبا كل يوم في درس في جميع المواد بطبيعة الحال على التلفزة الوطنية 2. اليوم ده كما قلنا درس في مادة الإنجليزية. سعداء جدا باستقبال ثلة من ألمع الأساتذة اللي موجودين في المادة هذه معنا اليوم، حاضرين معنا في الاستوديو هذايا. باش نبداو بتقديم الأساتذة. نبداو على يساري الأستاذة مريم بكار خسرف، مرحبا بك مدام مريم. ايضا الاستاذ جمال الدين العايشي، مرحبا بك سي جمال.
مرحبا.
الاستاذ خالد مخلوف، مرحبا بك سي خالد. والاستاذ محمد الصالح كنو، مرحبا بك ايضا. في استقبال المكالمات الهاتفيه سي شكيب المناعي وسي الاستاذ حافظ السلامي. وكما تعودتوا في كل المواد يكون متفقد ماده حاضر معنا في الاستوديو اليوم. حاضر معنا متفقد الماده سي ناصر الفضلاوي، مرحبا بك سي ناصر.
مرحبا.
قبل ما نعطيك كلمة البداية سي ناصر الفضلاوي معنا اليوم، حبيت فقط نذكر بأرقام الهاتف تنجموا تشاركوا معنا اليوم في الاستوديو هذا وتطرحوا جميع تساؤلاتكم كل تلاميذ البكالوريا اللي نتمنى لهم بطبيعة الحال كل التوفيق السنين إن شاء الله في البكالوريا 2011. أرقام الهاتف هي 71 800 814 و 71 280 089. نذكر 71 800 814 و 71 280 089. تشاهدوا في ارقام الهاتف بالطبيعه على شاشه التلفزه. كما قلت البدايه باش تكون مع متفقد اللقاء سي ناصر الفضلاوي. تفضل كلمه البدايه معك سي ناصر.
Good afternoon everybody. A special warm welcome to all of you to this live TV program. As you all know, the aim of this program is to help you get ready for your back English exam, get smarter, strengthen and sharpen your review skills and strategies, and feel at ease with your exam and get the grades you are capable of getting. As regards the questions we are expecting from you, which we hope will be concise, precise, pertinent, and varied, we will do our best to answer them duly, clarify things, and straighten out your confusions about topics, types of tasks, and ways of dealing with them, lead you into the best ways as how to mobilize your personal strategies in tackling them, and provide you with the ultimate sample helpers for your test tasks. Thus, we will work along with you through a few samples to make you sure you will do your different test tasks right. Now, to get straight to the core of today's program, I would like to remind you of the components of your English exam. In fact, it comprises 3 different parts. They will be introduced to you on your exam paper in the following order. You will have reading, comprehension, writing, and language. Now I leave the stage to your honorable and highly qualified teachers to introduce them to you respectively. Good attendance.
يعطيك الصحة سي ناصر الفضلاوي. قدمت لنا بداية هذه المادة. كما قلنا الجزء الأول من الامتحان باش تقدمه لنا الأستاذة مريم بكار خسرف. تفضل أستاذ.
We start with the first component of the test, the reading comprehension part. The text will comprise around 350 words for the arts branches, about 300 words for the experimental sciences, maths, computer studies, and economics and management branches, around 250 words for the technical and sport branches. The text will be taken from an authentic source. It will be about one of the topics dealt with during the school year. The topics are art shows and holidaying, education matters, creative, inventive minds, and life issues. For the reading comprehension, you will have different types of questions. Questions related to the general idea of the text, a set of questions related to reading for details, and one question to react to the text by giving a personal justified answer. The types of questions you may have are as follows: multiple choice questions, a table, a chart, or a diagram to complete, yes, no, or WH questions to answer, a sentence or a paragraph to complete with missing words or phrases, 4 statements to correct, 1 detail from the text for each statement. Other possible questions, you may be asked to find equivalents or opposites to given words or expressions, to determine what the underlined words in the text refer to identify the function of a given statement, to pick out the topic sentence of the text or a given paragraph, and to express your own reaction to the text or identify the writer's view or attitude.
يعطيك الصحة أستاذ. ما زلت تفضل.
Just I hand over to Mr. Mohammed Salah to introduce the writing part.
إذا قلت أنت الجزء الثاني مع سي محمد صالح، اليوم نحس في روحي العربي الوحيد تقريبا في بريطانيا، الناس كنت تتكلم بالإنجليزية وأنا حاضر ما بيناتكم. تفضل سي محمد صالح.
Well, as far as the writing component is concerned, you'll have two parts. The first part will be a guided writing task. The second one will be a free writing task. For the first part, you'll have one of the following guided writing tasks. Use given information to get or to produce a paragraph. Second, complete open-ended utterances in a dialogue, that is dialogue completion. And develop full sentences from notes to get or to produce a paragraph, that is developing notes to produce paragraph. No, that's the first part. Second part, as far as the second part is concerned, you'll have one of the following three tasks: an article, a letter, a report, a speech, or an email. Remember that these three writing tasks could involve different intended readers or audiences, topics or issues, gender or types, argumentative, expository, narrative, or descriptive. Purpose, that is the intention or the purpose of the writing, the free writing task. Inform, complain, or advertise, advise, etc. These are the two tasks related to the writing component.
هذا الجزء الثاني يعني باش نحكيو فيه ان شاء الله في الماده نتاع اليوم. بقى الجزء الثالث والاخير مع سي محمد ولا سي مع الاستاذ خالد مخلوف. تفضل استاذ.
The language tasks are a very important part of our test, and they consist mainly of 3 to 4 tasks depending on the test and on the branch. The first task is a kind of vocabulary exercise where you have to fill in a gapped paragraph with words provided in a box. Bear in mind that there are always generally 2 extra words which are provided in the box, which are kind of distractors and which you may not use. The second type of task is filling in a gapped paragraph with reference to 3 alternatives. You find the text on the left and then a list of words for each blank. 3 alternatives generally for each of the blanks, and you need to choose one of them. The next one is to complete a gap dialogue or a paragraph with reference to a list of alternatives. This is, of course, a whole part of a sentence may be missing, and the alternatives are given to you. You do not have to add anything from your heads, and you need just to choose from one of these alternatives. One alternative is going to be extra, of course. And then the next task is to provide the right tense or form of the bracketed words. Here you need to think of the noun, of the verbs, of the making of the verbs, putting them in the right tenses, and do not forget to learn by heart your irregular verb forms, your noun formation. And then you have the last task, maybe to match sentence parts to get a paragraph or a dialogue. Parts of sentences are given. Generally, the first part is given in the right order. The second one is going to be matched with the one in the first part.
يعطيك الصحة سي
This
خالد.
is, in a way,
يعطيك الصحة سي خالد. أكيد تلاميذ البكالوريا محظوظين برشا إذا كان تلقاو ثلة من الأساتذة هذوما أكيد باش يعاونوكم، وإن شاء الله الإفادة تحصل بالنسبة لكم. ونمشيو مع الدفعة الأولى من الأسئلة. نرجع مع متفقد المادة سي ناصر الفضلاوي. تفضل سي ناصر.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank our students for showing such an interest in this session. So far, we've received many questions, but to summarize them, we can say that students want to know how to tackle the task of completing a gap dialogue. Another question about how to write an article. And third question is about how to deal with the right alternatives among the three given options.
كانوا هذوما تقريبا 3 أسئلة. باش نبداو بالإجابة عن السؤال الأول معك سي محمد صالح. كانوا تفضل سي محمد.
Well, we have tips on how. First, we'll start with the tips on how to tackle an open dialogue, or what we call here the dialogue completion. First, we have now to complete a given dialogue with the appropriate utterances. That's some of the advice we have to be taken into consideration. You should be careful about what to complete with a question or an answer. The questions required can be yes-no questions, WS questions, direct or indirect questions, and the tense and or the form to be used. Now, before tackling the exercise or the task, I think that we have to follow certain steps. First, we have to read the whole dialogue so as to be able to identify the speakers, to identify the topic, to identify the tense we have, or tense forms, or the tense we have to use. These are the general guidelines or the general advice we can give to students about how tackling the dialogue, completion dialogue. And here we've got an example or sample here. Now here is a sample. Now you have Sarah and Peter. So you are going abroad this summer. Peter, Spain. Sarah, well, lucky you. I hope I can go there one day. Why Spain in particular? Peter, because. Sarah, that'll be great. Peter, 2 weeks. Sarah, will you phone me? No, and instead. That's the dialogue to complete. I think that we have to think or to find clues or hints in the dialogue. The first hints we can get from that dialogue are that's about intention. Abroad means going to another country. And you have this summer, that means holidays. These are the first clues. Spain is a holiday destination, the place to go. That's about destination. And then you have because, why Spain in particular, and you have because. That means here you've got to justify your choice. That will be great, and you have another question, and you've got the answer. 2 weeks. Will you phone me? No, and you've got instead. Instead is another clue. Now, let's sum up. Here you've got a dialogue. The topic is about holidays. Second, here you've got Sarah and Peter. We have to be very careful when you use pronouns, especially possessive pronouns or personal pronouns. 3, we have the future. The future arrangement and intention. Here we are going to ask questions. Type of questions, we have 1, 2, 2 questions and 2 answers. Now, Spain is about place. Then the first question must be about Spain. Spain, holiday destination, that means where. Why Spain in particular? And you have because. You have different alternatives. You can give different answers according to the context. But we have to be very careful about the use of tense and tense forms. And then you have 2 weeks. That means I've got to use another WS question related to 2 weeks. Now, then we have no and instead. That means no to a yes-no question, which is will you phone me? No, I will not. And then I'll do something instead. Now, let's sum up. Here we have 2 WS questions and 2 answers. So you are going abroad this summer. It's about planning. Second, why Spain in particular? You've got to give reason. Why? Order. Now, because I want, because Spain is, because Spain is famous for, or Spain is known for. These are alternatives. That means you can use or you can have more than one answer. But the answers must be linked to the why, giving reasons. That will be great. And 2 weeks, that means here we talk about duration. For now, then the question is, or the question will be, for the answer is 2 weeks, that's how long? How long? Will you phone me? No. And if you give a full sentence, you say to the questions, will you phone me? The answer will be, no, I won't. I'll do something else. When we talk about phoning, that means we talk about means of communication. Then no, I will not phone you. I will send you a postcard instead. I will send you an email instead, etc. Now, this is the exercise or the sample given about how to tackle or how to deal successfully with this type of exercise.
انتهت الإجابة سيدي محمد. نمر للسؤال الثاني.
Yes.
إذا قلت كما قلنا كانت هذه الإجابة الأولى مع الأستاذ محمد صالح كانوا الإجابة عن السؤال الثاني مع سي جمال الدين العايشي. تفضل سي جمال.
Yes, okay. So the problem here, I mean, the question was about multiple choice tasks. Indeed, students have problems when dealing with this type of task, and we are here to help them. We are going to suggest a list of helpful tips that will help them work, successfully on that task. If we say multiple choice, that means different alternatives they have to choose from. Good, so we have the tips now on the screen. The first thing they have to do is they have to read the 3 options carefully. So they take their time. They don't have to be in haste. So they take all their time to read the 3 options carefully. After that, they identify the clues that help them identify the right options. So you can see, we said identify the clues that help you identify the right option. And the clues might be a date, a preposition, an article. The context itself can be, very helpful. The third the third tip is they try to guess what part of speech is missing, and by saying part of speech we mean whether they need a verb, whether they need an adjective, an adverb, anything that makes the sentence meaningful. So they have to identify it. So they read the sentence and they see what's missing, what might make the sentence meaningful, whether the verb or the adverb or the adjective, and so on and so forth. Good. The fourth tip is that they do not have to think of words as single, isolated items. but part of the given context. I mean, they have to read the whole thing, and that's very important. And one of their recommendations is they have to read the paragraph, the task, in full, starting from the first to the last word, because the context might guide them in identifying the right option, the right alternative. The tip that comes next is they have to decide which of the three choices is best in the context. That means they take each word, they put it in the blanks, they read the sentence, and they see whether it is meaningful or not. After that, they check if the option they have selected fits in. I mean, they read the sentence, and they see whether the sentence makes sense or not. And last, piece of advice would be they have to read the text again and check if the text makes sense. I mean, the whole part, the whole thing, they read it, and they see whether it's coherent, it makes sense or not. Good, so these are the most important tips. And we are going to have a sample and show you how to work on such tasks. We are still waiting for the sample to be on the screen. And while waiting for that, I remind you, okay, here it is. So we have the paragraph, and to the right we have a list of alternatives, three options, of course, and they have to choose. Good, I try to be quick, not to waste time. Let's see it together. Jane lost her job when management with her company changed. And I have the first space. She had been with her company for 7 years and got along, and then another space, another gap. Everyone, she and her manager, simply, and the third gap, not get along. So, full stop there. You see, I've read the whole part. I don't have to stop at the first and start from there. I have to read it as a whole. Good, because if I'm going to decide on the first, because, although, as it will be very difficult, because I won't know whether I'm going to talk about a contrasting situation or about the cause. So I delay it to a next stage, to a further stage. And I move. She had been with her company for 7 years and got along. And here we have either at, about, or with preposition. And we all know that the preposition that goes with get along is with. We get along with someone. Yes, everyone. So we've got one now. I move to the third. She and her manager simply and have could, can't, and should. One of the tips we provide you with was the context in general. And here, the context will help us. Why? Because the general context of the paragraph is the past. Jane lost her job when management with her company changed, and so on and so forth. So I need to use the past. Now, I go back to the first set of alternatives, and you see, I've decided to use although. Why? Because there's a contrast. Although she had been with her company for 7 years and got along with everyone, she and her manager simply could not get along. So, the consequence, she either resigned or sacked or retired. Good. We can't use sack because here, if you use sack, we need the passive. And in this, the part of speech here should be a verb, of course, but in the active form. So sacked cannot be used. Retired, and we know the meaning of retire, that you leave a job when at a given age. When you are 55 or 60, depends. But here she is leaving her job willingly, and to leave your job willingly is to resign. So I use resigned because she really didn't think it would be a problem finding a new job. Now, the fifth set of alternatives, we have either has looked, or looking. Good. Jane for a new job for 6 months now and is having difficult time finding jobs with the same salary. So the clues here are now, that means the action is in progress in the present, and you have for. So when you have for, and now you have to use the present perfect, and I decide to use has looked, or you have to decide to use looked. You have, not me. Good. Jane has looked for a job for 6 months now and is having difficult time finding jobs with the same salary. She is losing confidence in the prospect of employment and is beginning to feel less confident about herself. Then we have blanks. She is without work the more, and I don't have the paragraph in front of me. I'm going to read from a paper. So the blank, she's without work, the more desperate she becomes. We have parallel increase, we have the plus comparative, so we need another the plus comparative, and my decision would be the longer she's without work, the more desperate she becomes, and I hope that things are clear. I have helped you with some strategies on tackling such tasks. Thank you.
يعطيك الصحة سي جمال. هكا كنت أتممت أنت مع السؤال الثاني. نمر مباشرة مع الأستاذة مريم للإجابة على السؤال الثالث. تفضل أستاذ.
To answer the student's question about how to write an article, first you should know that an article is a piece of writing written in an interesting way to catch the attention of a wide range of readers. Articles are written to either give information, to describe something, to discuss issues for or against, to give an opinion, or to make an appeal. Here are some useful tips on how to write a good article. To grab the reader's attention, you have to remember that you should write an attention-catching headline and write an interesting introduction to make the readers read on. Then present your points in a way that is easy for the readers to follow. Try to base your points on facts or use examples to justify them. And finally, use a variety of techniques to make your article interesting. For example, you can ask questions, include exclamation marks, and use a variety of grammatical structures. We have a topic, so I read the topic for you. While some educationists are worried about the negative effects of computer games on children's development and behavior, others believe that they are beneficial for them. Write an article for your school magazine in which you express your opinion about the issue. As you can notice then, the keywords have been underlined for you. This is the first step you should do before starting to write your article. These keywords then, from the keywords, I understand as a student that I am asked to write an article. The article is about a controversial issue, which is video games. On the one hand, we have some specialists who are against video games because of their negative effects on children. On the other hand, others are for video games because they have many benefits. You are then asked to express your point of view. The word opinion is underlined, in which you express your opinion about the issue. Therefore, you are asked to express your point of view on the issue. You have to make sure whether you agree with the first group of educationalists or the second. Then start preparing your arguments. I hope that these tips will be useful for you.
هذا فقط أنا ضد البلاي ستيشن على فكرة. أنا حابب تقول لك على كل مرة الدفعة الثانية من الأسئلة معك متفقد المادة سي ناصر فضلي وتفضل.
For the second set of questions, we have selected two pertinent ones, one related to language, the second related to writing. So, students are asking about what can help them turn the bracketed words into the right tense or form. The second question is, they want to know how they would develop the provided notes into full sentences to get a coherent paragraph.
أظن أسأل البداية معك سي الأستاذ خالد مخلوف الإجابة عن السؤال الأول. تفضل أستاذ.
Many students have some kind of hard time doing this task of word formation. Of course, you have a relatively short text with words in, if you like, brackets, and you need to put them in the right form. If it's a verb, you need to put it in the right tense or form. However, some tips are necessary and please do them to minimize the difficulty you may have in doing this task. The first tip is, which is generally a kind of recurring tip, you always do it before doing any language exercise, to read the whole text. And then read the text again, one sentence at a time. And then you decide if the word to be formed has the same or the opposite meaning of the words in brackets according to the meaning of the sentence. And then remember, because sometimes you have to add the prefixes or suffixes. Prefixes, we know il, im, in, an in the beginning of the word, and then the suffixes to end to make sometimes nouns or adverbs. And then the next tip is to make sure the new word and the given word have a common root and that you have spelled the new word correctly. Watch out. Spelling is very important. And then you read the text again with the words you form to fill in the gaps to see if it makes sense, if the text is coherent. A sample of these would be, we have chosen a small text to where we're going to practice. This is a small text. The first thing, of course, we need to do is to read the whole text to have an idea of what we are going to do and to have a general idea of the meaning and of the context of the text. All over the world, there has been a big controversy over the issue of eco-driving. For the last decade, engine technology and performance of vehicles, and we have improve as a verb here rapidly. However, most of the drivers have not adapted there, and we have the verb drive, and we have style, and may not realize how easy it is to drive green. Eco-driving means driving, and we have the adjective smooth, at lower engine revolution. It also has substantial impact on driving behavior, on safety, on fuel, and we have the verb to consume without increasing travel time. Through eco-driving, motorists can reduce carbon emission, prolong the vehicle's life, and save money. In these tough times, practicing eco-driving is and we have the adjective good, programmed to make the vehicle fuel efficient, while we have the verb to reduce fuel costs and CO2 emissions. Driving green is a commitment to help protect the environment. What am I going to do in this paragraph? Number one, we have to look. If we try to read the first sentence, all over the world, there has been a great controversy about the issue of eco-driving. I know that it's about eco-driving. For the last decade, from the beginning, I see that for the last decade, and we know that for needs the present perfect, because if you like, the context here, the first sentence, if you like, is in the present. So you have got, for the last decade, engine technology and performance of vehicles, we use the present perfect of the verb to improve. Engine technology and performance have improved rapidly. This is the present perfect. Watch out. When you have the present perfect, make sure you have chosen the right past participle. This is a regular verb. That's not difficult. But also be careful about the word to have. Engine technology and performance. So two are supposed to use have. If it is one, we use has. And please make sure you do not misuse have for has. rapidly. However, most of the drivers have not adapted there, and we have drive and style. This is going to be kind of compound noun here. And style of what? Style of driving, that's going to be driving style, of course. And may not realize how easy it is to drive green. Eco-driving means driving. How do we drive? Generally, we drive quickly, we drive slowly, so we drive here smoothly as an adverb. Watch out, the formation of adverbs is generally the adjective ending with ly. If you add ly to the adjective, you automatically have the adverb. Bear in mind that there are some adjectives which have some irregular adverbs, like good, where the adverb is well, hard or fast, which do not change when we move them to the adverbs hard, hard, and fast, fast. Smoothly at lower engine revolution. It also has substantial impact on driving behavior, on safety, and on the verb consume. Watch out, we have the end. Driving behavior is a noun, safety is a noun, fuel what? It's automatically a noun. The noun from to consume is consumption, of course. And then fuel consumption without increasing travel time. Through eco-driving, motorists can reduce carbon emission, prolong the vehicle life, and save money. In these tough times, practicing eco-driving is and we have blank, adjective, and the noun program. Of course, here the automatically is going to be the superlative, which we use. Bear in mind that the comparative of good is, the comparative is better, and when we have that means that we're going to use the superlative, and superlative from good is best, the best program to make the vehicle fuel efficient while doing something, of course, while you are reducing, and we can only use the ing form, while reducing fuel costs and CO2 emissions. Driving green is a commitment to help protect the environment. Watch out, just reread again and try to concentrate on details and on your word formations and on your spelling, because this is very important. And thank you.
يعطيك الصحة سي خالد. أنا جبت منهم 3 على 6 ذوم، ماني عندي 10. سي بون ماني 10. باهي سي جمال، معك نمروا للسؤال الثاني من الدفعة الثانية. تفضل سي جمال.
We'll be talking writing, and one of the problems in writing is developing full sentences from notes to get a coherent paragraph. Here the students can't tell what to add, where to add that, and how much to add, in fact. Good, it's very simple. They don't have to worry. In this case, we are going to provide a list of tips as usual. So we are going to read them. So what students are expected to add is articles, and the prepositions, at, from, in, etc., by, for, any other preposition, pronouns and possessive adjectives, like he, his, him, etc., relative pronouns, who, which, linkers, such as and, because, so, furthermore, and other link words, I mean. And last, they can use auxiliaries like be and have. Good. Now, what students are exposed to do in this case, if they are provided with chunks, I mean, with words, with slashes, and they are, expect to develop these words into meaningful sentences. First thing, they have to put verbs and words into the right tense and or form. And there must be certain clues within these words that will help you decide what tense to use. You can get to date, you can get a reference, any reference to tense. Good. The second thing is they don't have to change the order of the words. That means they keep the order of the words. Because if they do change, they might get into confusion. And the sentence might become meaningless. Good. We have a sample. And we are going to work together on that sample. So you will be having some words. And the words are there. And you are asked to develop them into a coherent paragraph. Remember, they are not sentences in isolation. They are sentences that will make up a whole paragraph. We read them together. Mati Atisar, and our slash, then we have win, then the Nobel Prize, then peace. And here you see we have the indication. We have the clue, which is 2008, which means the past. Now, then we have he, the president, and a country, Finland. And again, we have 1994 and 2000. Again, we have a date to help us identify the tense. Then at the age, I have 52, he, the tempo, and he is very important because he will help us decide whether Marty Atisari, which is odd for us, maybe because we are not familiar with this name, whether this Marty Atisari is a man or a woman. Good. The Tembo Award, his achievements, a diplomat. Then we have he awarded the Nobel Prize for. We have important effort. Then we have resolve conflicts, and we have countries. Good. What you see in red is the words that we are supposed to add. You see, we don't add too many words, just very simple words, and you are putting the verbs in the right tense and form. So, Marty Atisare, and we have to turn win into the past, because we have the date 2008. So, one, or we can say also what's the winner of. In this case, there are many possibilities, I mean, but the possibilities should be right, I mean, grammatically right, and they have to fit in the context. Good. So, Matti Atisari won or was the winner of the Nobel Prize for peace, and then a preposition in 2008. Then again, we have he. I have to put the verb in the right tense. Why the right tense? What tense should we use? We have to use the past. Why? Because they're from 1994 to 2000, and again, that's the past. So it's the president, and I have a country. This man comes from Finland, so he is the president of Finland from 1994 to 2000. Then I have at the age, and after the expression at the age, we normally use of, at the age of 52. Then we need a verb for the award. And people normally receive awards. So he received the Tembo Award for what? For his achievements as a diplomat. He was also awarded. Here we have a passive sentence. So the passive form requires the use of was, verb to be in the past, of course, because here the context is the past. He was also awarded the Nobel Prize for his important effort to resolve conflicts. The purpose of that is his efforts to resolve conflicts. And this conflict, normally we have conflicts between countries, and the preposition between. And if we read the whole thing, we will get something meaningful, simple and clear. So Marty Atisari won the Nobel Prize for Peace in 2008. He was the president of Finland from 1994 to 2000. At the age of 52, he received the Tembo Award for his achievement as a diplomat. He was also awarded the Nobel Prize for his important effort to resolve conflict between countries. And we've got our paragraph. Okay, that's it.
شكرا لك سي جمال. هكا نكونوا اخترنا مع الدفعه الثانيه مباشره. نمروا لزوز اسئله الموليين مع متفقد الماده سي ناصر الفضلي. تفضل سي ناصر.
Thank you. The third set of questions. Students called to ask about the types of letters that they may be asked to write. They also called to inquire about how to tackle the reading comprehension tasks. Just two questions.
إذا السؤال الأول معك أنت سي محمد صالح كنو. تفضل أستاذ.
Writing a letter. Now here we have two types of letters. We have informal and formal letters. And for these two types we have two different implications. That means when we have an informal letter, that means we have to follow certain rules and regulations. As far as the language is concerned, that means we have to be very careful with the language we use, the salutation and greeting, and the closing. Now, a formal letter, example of a formal letter, writing a letter to, for example, to a travel agency manager, or writing a letter to a manager in a company. Now, in the informal letter, that means writing a letter to a pen friend. These are the two main differences between these two types. Now, a formal letter generally is a letter written to someone you don't know personally. That's about somebody you don't have as a close friend, and it is usually of a business letter, nature. That means a type of application letter. An example of application letter. Right. In the formal letter, you have, as I said, to follow certain rules. You have to use full sentences, not or no contraction whatsoever, no abbreviation. We don't have to use, or we do not use abbreviation in a formal letter. Like here you've got the example of ad for advertisement. We do not use contractions. Example, I'm for I am. Now, for as far as the greeting is concerned, we say dear sir or madam. That implies in the closing we have, or in complementary clause, or in the closing you have, or the ending, use yours sincerely or yours faithfully. As far as the informal letter is concerned, we have to be very careful with the ending. We have different ending. When we say, for example, dear Ali or dear John, at the end, or finish our letter by saying yours or sincere. Now, yours truly or with love. These are how we end a formal or informal letter. Now, these are some of the differences between formal and informal letters. Let's say we have something. Now, these two letters or type of letters have something in common, one thing in common, that they have different paragraphs, at least three paragraphs. An introductory paragraph, second paragraph, and a closing paragraph for these two types. And now I think that we have a sample about how to deal or tackle an informal letter. Now, this is the writing task. You move it to the countryside where the quality of life was supposed to be better, but you were soon disappointed. Write a letter to your friend in which you tell him or her about the things that disappointed you. Now, here you've got the key words underlined, and you have to think of ideas related to these underlined words. Countryside means, normally, when we talk about the countryside, we talk about healthy environment, clear air, etc. Supposed to be better, that means you expected to have something good in the countryside, that means better quality of life, etc. Disappointment or disappointed, that means something which is bad, unexpected. Now here we talk about expectation and disappointment. Letter, it's obvious, it's an informal letter. And when we talk about the things, that means here we are going to list the same things related to bad things. Now, what are you supposed to write about? Now, you are supposed to write about your own experience. You are supposed to write about what did you expect and you did not get. And you are supposed to write about the mismatch between you as a city dweller, you had been, and the countryside dwellers. You are, at the end or in the closing of the letter, you are supposed to ask, or you are supposing to ask for advice, for a reply. You are asking or waiting for a certain reaction from the part of your, or on the part of your friend. That's how we can summarize the whole thing about how to tackle an informal letter.
يعطيك الصحة أستاذ محمد صالح. الأستاذ السؤال الموالي باش تجاوب عليه الأستاذة مريم والأستاذ جمال، تفضلوا عندكم الكلمة.
Then here are some tips on the reading comprehension tasks. First, you should read through the questions before you read the text. This will help you get an idea about the topic of the text.
So don't forget to read the titles, subtitles, and words at the bottom of the text.
You have to keep the questions in mind while reading the text.
You don't have to panic if there are difficult, unfamiliar words. Try to understand them within the context. Don't spend a whale of time trying to figure out things that you don't know. You can guess them from context.
You have to refer to the paragraph number mentioned with the question. This will guide you to the correct answer.
Don't write whole sentences or parts of sentences with unnecessary details.
You have to always answer according to the instruction. So if you are asked to tick the right option, you have to tick. And if you are asked to circle, you have to use a circle. Don't
turn the statement to the negative or to the affirmative to prove they are false. For example, if you are told the sentence you have, which is false, and if to correct John is brave, don't say John isn't brave. You can find the detail. For example, John was scared, or John was fearful, or John chickens out. Okay?
Always choose one single correct option to multiple choice questions. Two answers are not accepted, only if you are asked to do it in the instruction.
Don't give unnecessary details. You risk to lose marks.
Always complete tables or charts with precise details picked from the text.
For finding to express your reaction to the text, do not copy literally from the text.
And finally, for finding word meaning, always check the form of the word required, whether you need a verb, a noun, an adjective, etc.
So that's all I think that can be of great help.
شكرا لكم. هذه نصائح مهمة جدا لابد باش تتابعوها أكيد في الامتحان البكالوريا إن شاء الله موفقين. نمشيو مع الدفعة الأخيرة مع متفقد المادة سي ناصر. تفضل سي ناصر.
As far as the first writing task is concerned, students wanted to know whether they should use all the information given in the instructions. Another question related to the language part. Can you give us clues on the task of the blank filling?
كالعادة البداية معك سي محمد صالح، وتقريبا رئيس صندوق اللي بتضرب دورك لازم نكمل الدرس فيس. تفضل سي محمد صالح.
It's about the information transfer. Now, the information, write a short text from a table, a pie chart, a diagram, or map. Before you start writing, you have to read all the. Now here you have on the screen types of text or production. We can have paragraph, letter, an article, report, or a biography. Right. Now, writing a short text from a table, you have simply just to follow certain rules, as I said. Now, read the information to find out what are these information about. Second, to decide whether these information are here to inform us, to describe for us, or to narrate. Now, if they give information, that means you use mainly the present tense. If they describe, we use mainly the present simple. If they narrate, that means the past tense forms, and mainly the simple past is to be used. Remember that using all the information is a must, but be careful, or you feel free about how to use these information. Now, don't forget that, or I've got to insist that we have different alternatives. We can have different productions. Now, to be careful about your pronunciation, spelling, capitalization, you must add some words, and be careful about your handwriting. It's very important. Here you have a sample. Yes. Now, use the information in the table below to write a 4-line paragraph. Name of the festival, Hinamatsuri, means little doll. Theme and purposes dedicated to dolls. Teach traditional values. Place and time, Japan/3 March or 3rd March each year. Duration 1 day, and participants, little girls and parents. And let's have a look at the production itself. Hinamatsuri, and you have men and little doll. You have 2 commas here. These are used to have an extra. Men and little dog is an extra additional information. Is a 1-day festival. The use of the compound adjective, which takes, here we use which is a relative pronoun, takes place, is another word added which does not exist in the table. In Japan on March the 3rd, or we can have another way to say it, 3rd March each year. Now, it is dedicated to dolls and teachers. You have conjugated verbs to teach, traditional values. The participants are little girls and their parents. Here you have to be, the verb to be in the present, or, and their possessive pronoun. Now, to summarize the whole thing about this sample, we can say that we have made some modifications. We have used commas. We have conjugated verbs. We have linked sentences. And we have used the present tense because the paragraph is a descriptive paragraph. Yes,
شكرا لك أستاذ محمد صالح. نمر للسؤال الثاني معك أستاذ خالد مخلوف. تفضل أستاذ.
I think this question deals with the blank filling task. Of course, the blank filling task is a task where you have a list of words in a box and a text with the blanks. You need to put these words in the right blanks. The first piece of advice, which is recurrent, if you like, it is really necessary that a student read the whole text to get an idea of what it is about and try to guess the missing word. The second tip is to read the words in the box. Of course, you can have a look at the words in the box before reading the text. That would not make much difference. Third is to reread the text and focus on each sentence, not just the words before and after the gaps. There are many students who want to get to the blank and they automatically try to fill in the blank with the word, which is not really feasible. I myself would not be able to do it unless I finish the sentence. If you finish the sentence, you may find some clues that may help you. And then you have, watch out, note that sometimes you find some clues, of course. And finally, make sure when you put the word into the right blank, make sure you do not miscopy it. Because if you copy a word from the box and you just put it in the blank, and there is a spelling mistake in it, you will not get your mark. As far as the sample I'm going to try to choose is this is the list of words. First of all, you try to read the words. And while reading these words, try to concentrate, please, on whether these words are verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions. That may help you. Credit as a noun, away, preposition, legally, ending with an ly here, adjective. That's an adverb. Most, superlative. Devices, noun. Watch out, that devices is a noun, which is plural. Out is a preposition. Reward, for the time being, it can be a noun, it can be a verb, but I just keep it in mind. It may apply is a verb, and which is a noun. Of course, we have the text. First thing, you try to read the text as a whole. I may not be able to read it really because things, they are telling me that we're kind of running out of time. Anyway, I'm going to read at least the first sentence. Thomas Edison was an American inventor and businessman. He developed many blank that greatly influenced the life around the world, including the phonograph and a long-lasting light bulb. Of course, the word devices is used. We have many. Then, inventors, he was one of the first inventors too, and we have the verb, of course, we go back as the verb, the principles, the mass production to the process of invention. And therefore, we need a noun for creating the credit for creating the first industrial research laboratory, relative pronoun, which was the first constant technological innovation and improvement. Edison was legally attributed with most of the inventions produced there, though many employees carry out a research, to carry out an experiment, and development were under his direction. He is considered one of the superlative most prolific inventors in history, holding 1,033 American patents in his name. He also has many other patents in the United Kingdom, France, and Germany. Thank you. Sorry for being too quick.
انا نهنيك على الاكسون تاعك. انا سرحت معك سي خالد، نستنى في الدبلجه ما غالب ما خرجتش. باهي هكا نكون وصلنا لختام الدرس نتاع اليوم. كلمه الختام معك متفقد الماده سي ناصر الفضلاوي. تفضل سي ناصر.
Good. I'd like first of all to thank the teachers here for their efforts. I'd like also to thank our students for their valuable contribution through pertinent questions. So before we bid you a goodbye and wish you well in your exam, we hope our presentation has been of a great help to you. We also hope we have answered all your questions accordingly in a way that helped you overcome your difficulties and meet your own needs. Finally, we hope we brought water to your mills and made your day. Good luck and goodbye.
يعطيك الصحة سي ناصر. هكا نكون وصلنا لختام درس بالنسبة للحصة نتاع اليوم. حبيت في النهاية نشكر كل الأساتذة اللي حاضرين معنا اليوم. الأستاذة مريم بكار خسرف يعطيك الصحة حضرت معنا اليوم، أيضا سي جمال العايشي، سي خالد مخلوف، والأستاذ محمد الصالح كنو. وفي استقبال المكالمات الهاتفية حبيت نشكر الأساتذة شكيب المناعي وحافظ السلامي ومتفقد المادة أيضا الأستاذ ناصر الفضلاوي يعطيك الصحة. احنا نقول لكم إن شاء الله حظ موفق للجميع، إن شاء الله بالتوفيق لكم والناس الكل، إلى أن نلتقي في مواعيد